Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
There's an old saying we hear before we can even speak. Blood is thicker than water. We're handed that sentence like an inheritance, long before we're old enough to ask whether it's actually true. But here's the question nobody wants to sit with. If blood really is thicker than water, then why do so many people, quietly, deliberately, choose to let that blood run cold? I'm not talking about a family feud. I'm not talking about a few weeks of the silent treatment after a bad Christmas dinner. I'm talking about a door that closes and never opens again. No phone calls, no birthday texts, no showing up for the holidays, the hospital visits, the funerals. Just silence. And if you assume this only happens in families that look broken from the outside, families with screaming matches and broken plates, I need to gently stop you there. Because some of the families that fall apart the quietest are the ones that looked the most polished on the surface. Coordinated Christmas card outfits, a mother who posts blessed under every family photo, a father who brags about his kids at the golf club, and underneath all of it, a private world of control, guilt, and quiet suffocation that took years to name. Psychologists will tell you something important here. Walking away from family is almost never an impulsive decision. It is one of the most researched, most deliberate forms of self-preservation a human being can choose. Today, we're going into the psychology of why people leave the people they were born to love. And if you are the one carrying guilt over a relationship you had to release, or you're the one left behind asking, "What did I do wrong?" I think this is going to give you language you've been missing. Welcome back to Motivational Humanity. Before we go further, if you've ever felt unseen inside your own family, hit subscribe and turn on notifications now, because every week we go one layer deeper into the mind together, and I don't want you to miss the next one. Let's begin. When someone finally cuts contact with a parent or a sibling, the family left behind almost always describes it the same way. It came out of nowhere. We had no idea anything was wrong. One minor disagreement about a wedding seating chart, and suddenly they were gone. From where they're standing, it does look sudden. But in psychology, we don't call this an explosion. We call it an iceberg. You only ever see the tip of an iceberg above the waterline, the calm, white peak that looks small and manageable. What you don't see is the enormous mass underneath, built up over years, invisible until a ship gets too close and the whole thing tears the hull apart. The collision looks instant. The iceberg was never instant. It had been forming, silently, for a very long time. Family estrangement works the same way. It is almost never one event. It is the accumulation of what therapists call micro-injuries. Small, repeated wounds that, on their own, seem far too minor to justify walking away. Let's name a few of them, because I think you'll recognize at least one. It's the backhanded comment at a family barbecue. "Oh, look who finally decided to get a real job." We were starting to wonder. It's the gaslighting that follows any attempt to speak up. "You're remembering that wrong. You've always been so dramatic. That never happened the way you're saying." It's the boundary that gets stepped on again and again. A mother who reads her adult daughter's private messages because she was worried. A father who shows up unannounced and gets offended when the door doesn't open fast enough. One sarcastic remark won't break a person, but 10,000 of them, spread across 20 birthdays and 20 Thanksgivings, will physically reshape the nervous system. Long before the rational mind catches up, the body already knows. You feel your shoulders tighten when a certain name lights up your phone. You sit in your car outside your childhood home for 10 extra minutes before you can make yourself walk in. You learn to shrink, to laugh a little softer, want a little less, need almost nothing, just to keep the peace in a room that was never peaceful to begin with. Eventually, the nervous system runs out of road, and going no contact isn't rebellion. It is the body's own circuit breaker, tripping to protect whatever is left of the person underneath. The psychologist Carl Jung wrote about something he called the persona, the mask each of us wears to move safely through the world. In a healthy home, that mask comes off at the front door. You get to just be a person again. But in a family shaped by control, that mask never comes off. Worse, You were handed a specific mask before you could even walk, and you've been performing behind it ever since. Let's look at 4 of the most common roles psychologists describe. See if you recognize yourself or someone you love in any of them. The achiever. This is the child who becomes the family's proof of success. The one accepted into a competitive university, the one whose accomplishments get repeated at every dinner party. From the outside, it looks enviable. On the inside, the love has a price tag attached. The lesson gets absorbed early. I am only worth celebrating when I am winning. Many achievers spend their 20s and 30s in careers they secretly resent. Law, medicine, finance. Not because they love the work, but because stopping would mean risking the only kind of love they've ever known. The truth teller. Every strained family system needs somewhere to send its unresolved tension, and this is often the child who is simply different. More sensitive, more creative, less willing to pretend everything is fine. Ironically, this child usually sees the family's dysfunction with the most clarity of anyone in the house. They're often the first to start therapy, the first to say the quiet part out loud. Something here isn't right. And because they dare to name it, they become the one everyone quietly blames for causing problems. The ghost. In a home full of tension, some children learn that the safest strategy is to disappear. They stay in their room. They stop asking for things. They make themselves as small and as quiet as possible because invisibility feels safer than being seen. Grown up, the ghost often becomes fiercely, almost painfully independent. Someone who would rather struggle alone at 2 a.m. than admit they need help, because somewhere along the way, they learned their needs were an inconvenience to everyone around them. The little adult. This role is created by parents who never fully grew into their own emotional maturity. A mother might tell her 13-year-old, "You're the only one who really understands me," and then hand that child the full weight of her marriage problems, her financial stress, her loneliness. That child learns far too early that love means carrying other people's pain. Childhood gets traded for caretaking. Whichever role fit you, the cost is identical. You lose access to who you actually are. And the moment you try to put the script down, the moment you say, "I don't want to play this part anymore," the system rarely responds with understanding. It responds with pressure. Because a system that has always needed you in that role does not know how to function without you in it. For a lot of people, walking away isn't abandoning the family. It's resigning from a job they never applied for. Here's the part that confuses almost everyone from the outside. If it was really that painful, why did it take so long to leave? The answer isn't weakness. It's a psychological mechanism called trauma bonding, and it's a lot more mechanical, a lot less mysterious than people assume. Toxic families are rarely toxic consistently. If they were, leaving would be simple. The real trap is the unpredictability. A brutal argument on Tuesday night, and by Wednesday morning, your mother is making your favorite breakfast like nothing happened. A comment that cuts you to the bone at dinner, followed by an expensive, generous gift a week later. Behaviorists have a name for why this is so hard to walk away from. Intermittent reinforcement. It's the exact mechanism that makes a slot machine so addictive. Not the promise of a guaranteed win, but the unpredictability of the win. You keep pulling the lever, not because you're certain the coins will fall, but because you can't be certain they won't. Your nervous system gets locked in that same loop. Cortisol floods your system during the manipulation. Then a small hit of dopamine arrives with the crumb of affection that follows. And your brain, desperate for relief, starts to whisper, "Maybe if I just try a little harder. Maybe if I call more. Maybe if I finally make them proud, they'll love me the way I've always needed." It's like lowering a bucket into a well you've been told has water in it. Every time you lower it with hope. Every time it comes back up empty. The exhaustion doesn't come from the effort of lowering the bucket. It comes from the hoping. Cutting contact usually only becomes possible the moment the slot machine finally loses its pull. The moment a person looks into that well and finally accepts, there was never water down there, and I could keep lowering this bucket for the rest of my life. At this point, it would be easy to slide into pure anger toward the parents in this story. I want to offer something a little wider instead. Not to excuse what happened, but to help release some of the weight of it. This is called intergenerational trauma. Think about the generation that raised your parents. Depending on where in the world you're from, that generation may have lived through war, famine, displacement, or economic collapse so severe that survival was the only available goal. There was no room, and often no language, for feelings. Nobody sat that generation down and explained emotional boundaries or attachment styles. Their entire definition of love was practical. I fed you. I kept a roof over your head. That was my job, and I did it. They were never taught how to offer what they never received, and so, without meaning to, many of them passed their unhealed wounds onto the very children who never caused them. To be clear, understanding where the wound came from does not make the wound acceptable. Emotional harm is real, regardless of its origin story, and understanding it does not obligate you to keep absorbing it. But it can do something quietly powerful. It can help you stop seeing your parent as a monster and start seeing them as a wounded person who was never given the tools to do better. They couldn't hand you warmth, they never had access to themselves. When that shift happens, something in the resentment softens. You start to realize you're not leaving because you hate them. You're leaving because you've decided this particular cycle stops with you. Walking away doesn't end the conflict. It just relocates it. The next battle isn't with your family anymore. It's with yourself. Most people who go no contact carry one relentless question with them. Am I a cold, heartless person? Why can't I just forgive and move on like everyone says I should? That question gets louder because most cultures, not just American ones, are saturated with the message that family always comes first, that blood is sacred, that a good person forgives no matter what. But here's a truth that deserves to be said plainly. You cannot use a healthy person's logic to try to heal a system that was never healthy to begin with. Picture this. You're crossing the street and a car hits you, breaking your leg. Let's say the driver is someone you love. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it wasn't. Either way, you're lying there in pain, and you're asking the driver to somehow produce a scalpel and set the bone themselves. But they were never trained for that. They don't have the skill. They might even start arguing about whose fault the accident was instead of calling for help. If you lie, they're waiting for the person who hit you to also be the one who heals you, the leg simply doesn't heal. Someone else has to carry you to a doctor. The driver may still owe you accountability, but your recovery depends entirely on you finding the right care, not on them finally understanding what they did. That's what leaving often is. Not revenge, not punishment. Just finally going to find the doctor no one else was going to bring you to. The hardest part usually isn't the day you send the last message or make the last call. It's the quiet that comes after, what psychologists call ambiguous loss. When someone dies, there's a process for the pain. There's a funeral. There are people bringing casseroles and saying, "I'm so sorry for your loss." There's a shared understanding that you're allowed to grieve. But when you lose someone who is still breathing, still posting vacation photos, still technically one phone call away, there's no ritual for that kind of grief. No one brings you a casserole for a parent who is alive and estranged. You're mourning two different losses at once, the relationship as it actually was, and the relationship you always hoped it might someday become. Certain days will ambush you. You'll walk past a display of Mother's Day cards in a shop and feel your chest tighten without warning. A part of you will whisper, "Maybe I overreacted. Maybe it wasn't really that bad." Please hear this clearly. Your nervous system spent years being trained to associate chaos with normal. Peace, when it finally arrives, can feel unfamiliar, even wrong. But that flicker of guilt is not proof that you made a mistake. It's proof that you still have a conscience. You're not grieving the parent who hurt you. You're grieving the parent you always deserved and never got to have. Freedom, it turns out, almost always comes with a toll. And the first toll is a very specific, very quiet kind of loneliness. But here's what I want you to hold on to. Cutting contact isn't the ending of the story. It's the opening chapter of something else. The long, patient work of reparenting yourself. When the criticism finally stops echoing in the room, you'll start to hear a different voice underneath it. The voice of the child inside you who spent years being assigned a role, told to be smaller, and never fully seen. Your task now is to become, for that child, the parent you needed all along. When you make a mistake, instead of reaching for the harsh voice you grew up with, try something gentler. It's all right. We'll try again. When anxiety creeps in, comfort yourself the way you wish someone had comforted you. You're safe now. I'm not going anywhere. Let yourself do the small, joyful things you were never given permission for. Book the solo trip. Buy the thing that feels a little indulgent. Sleep past 9 without a shred of guilt. And slowly, from those pieces, you begin to build what many people call a chosen family. Blood may build the body, but it is empathy, consistency, and safety that build a soul back up. You'll come to understand that family was never really about shared DNA. It's the friend who respects a boundary the first time you set it. It's the partner who listens without trying to fix or judge. It's the community that shows up for you, not out of obligation, but because they can genuinely see your worth. That love isn't owed, it's chosen. And chosen love, once you've felt it, tends to run deeper than anything that was ever required of someone by blood. This is the exact place where a generational cycle finally breaks. Every time you choose peace over performance, you're not just protecting yourself. You're making sure the people who come after you never inherit the ghosts you had to carry. So if you're the one who made the decision to walk away, hear this clearly. You did not betray your family. You simply refused to keep betraying yourself. You chose truth over a beautifully staged illusion. And even though it costs something, that choice means your life finally belongs to you. And if you're the one left behind, still searching for an explanation you never got, I hope this gave you a little more understanding. Sometimes distance isn't cruelty. Sometimes distance is simply how a person survives. Wherever you are on this road, you are not walking it alone. Peace was never meant to be a luxury. It's yours by right. If this spoke to something in you, tell us in the comments. Your story might be the exact thing someone else needs to read today. And if you know someone who is still carrying guilt over a relationship they had to let go of, send them this video. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone know they're not alone in this. Be gentle with yourself. You deserve to heal. I am reclaiming my peace. Type it in the comments if you're reclaiming yours too. Thank you for spending this time with Motivational Humanity. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so we can keep going deeper into the mind together every week. I'll see you in the next one.